You know, Muhammad Ali was here for the grand opening for starters.
Did you train anybody from supermodels to actors?
Hey, man! Mr. Dino's gonna jump off the cliff, everybody!
I don't wish my little boy to go over that.
Of course, to go through that trauma.
But that's what made the father great. What it takes to be masculine, or what to be masculine. What's masculinity to you? Do women help athletes?
I believe in obsession.
You're that single mom, and you have that little spoiled kid already.
People in general, they're looking for a new car, a new watch, a new girl.
NHL player wives.
A new house, something, and it's gonna make them happy, and it never does.
Unique, potentially legendary player, right? He gets lost.
Is your goal to be champion, or is your goal to be happy? Is your goal to be rich, or is it to be famous?
Do not get in a conflict. 99 knockouts.
Yeah. I want you to win more than you want you to win, and that's a big problem.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today we're here at the very special place, one of the most renowned and known boxing gyms in the world famous 5th Street Boxing Gym, home of the greats like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, Noel McCallion, and many, many more. This is a special place. Even though you don't follow boxing, this is something that it's impressive, and a lot of people with name and a lot of people with fame come here. To me personally, this is where I started my first deeds as a boxing entrepreneur, and to me it's always going to be a special place. So today we're here with the legendary coach and entrepreneur Dino Spencer, and this is going to be a new episode in the lives of 369. The first rule of the Fight Club: don't talk about it, but also don't get offended. My pleasure, Robert Mazin. Yeah?
Forehead.
You're shiny.
Yeah, you're looking good.
You're good.
I had makeup earlier.
You did? No. Like, you see how he switches on?
From 6 a.m.
So do we even know what is masculinity anymore? And it's been labeled toxic or positive. What do you think about it?
Toxic masculinity is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
And why is that?
Because it is what it is. Masculine is what a man does and acts. Feminine is what a woman does, how she acts. It just is what it is. There's no bad or good. There's bad people that do bad things. There's good people who do good things. But masculine or feminine is no description of good or bad. It's a description of masculine or feminine, male or female.
So there's no label, you just think it's masculine.
One has nothing to do with the other, yeah. If you lay your hands on somebody that's not trying to hurt you, you're a bad guy. Super simple.
Correct.
If someone lays their hands on you and you bust their teeth open, you're a good guy.
All of a sudden.
Everyone goes, oh, it's great that, thank God that guy was there that day.
Correct.
This thing is toxic masculinity.
I agree. When do you think it all started?
I mean, obviously I've only heard it since pandemic. I think people had too much time sitting around crying over whatever they were crying about instead of trying to figure out how to make a living.
Correct.
Waiting for a check to come from the government.
I believe that once you start overthinking about your feelings, you will never be successful.
Nobody cares how you feel.
Correct.
Nobody cares.
And that's what you always teach.
That's what exactly. The only thing that matters is results. That's all. I mean, I feel bad many days, but I wake up and go to work every day. My wife and daughter would look at me like I was insane if I said, I don't feel good today, I'm staying home.
Right.
What do you mean you don't feel good today? I have to be so sick that I'm worried about getting someone else sick, or I do not take a day off. That's impossible. If I have a cough or an infection that I don't want to get my customers or my fighters sick, I stay home for their sake. But other than that, what's the difference if I'm coughing here or coughing in my bedroom? What's the difference? Same cough.
Correct.
Nothing changes. So for you to say, for you to have an opinion one way or the other, again, it's just the results. If I'm so masculine that every time I have interaction with somebody, I get physical, well, that's just makes me a bad guy. It doesn't make me masculine or feminine.
Correct.
It's stupid.
I totally agree. So,
and it wouldn't make a man feminine just because he doesn't do that. You do the right thing at the right time, and that anything else is wrong.
Correct.
It's just that simple.
So how do you think the fighters adapt to this social pressure in a way? Have you noticed, you've been in the game how many years? 40?
Yeah, 30 for sure.
30 for sure, right? Do you believe that most people would say people were tougher back in the day?
Oh, for
but
sure.
do you agree with that?
I mean, I think people were tougher, and as technology moves forward, as something as simple as indoor plumbing, as technology moves forward, we get softer and softer and weaker and weaker. I mean, there's still a place in the world where you have to go walk to get your water. I mean, just, for us to get a glass of water, there's a fountain 24/7 there. There's no issue. We have bottled water. Everyone carries a bottle of water with them. There's stores everywhere. Just that alone, just the act of getting a glass of water, which you need to do, you need to drink to stay hydrated, stay alive, was a chore to go to the, imagine, you live, I'm from Chicago originally.
Yeah.
People had outhouses.
What
some
houses?
point. Outhouses. You had to go to the bathroom outside.
I'm from Eastern Europe. I know what you're talking about.
It's 3 degrees outside. You're a lot tougher of a person. If every time you got to go to the bathroom, you got to go outside in 3 degrees.
Right.
The life is so easy today. It's crazy. So thank God it's so easy. I understand. But that being said, we're getting softer and softer and softer, of course.
So how does that project on the fighters? Do you see them more like quitting in the heat of the game, or what do you think?
I mean, I think that you can see fighting has become less of a thing. I mean, less people. I'd be shocked if. I mean, MMA is brought it back, but prior to the UFC, I'd be shocked if there was the number of fighters, professional, even amateurs, must have been so low. I think martial arts and mixed martial arts has brought it back to a degree.
So you think it got more popular or it got less popular?
I think fighting in general got more popular. With
professional or street?
I don't
What do you think.
I mean, I think street fighting is gone.
I agree.
I mean, I think everyone's waiting to sue you.
Especially in the United States.
Waiting to call the police, waiting to arrest you, waiting to do this, waiting to do that. I mean, I think in Eastern Europe, I think people still getting fist fights. Just now, Tyson Fury's brother-in-law was here. And he says he loves to watch a soccer game and go to the opposing pub to get a good dust up.
Dust up.
Yeah, just very casual and fun, fist fight not to be. Now they can arrest you for attempted murder.
Correct.
It's crazy.
Correct.
So.
And you've seen it all.
Yeah, you see. Times change. That's for sure. I mean, is it better? I mean, you really shouldn't have to defend yourself. People shouldn't be laying their hands on you.
Correct.
Reality is sometimes people do. You still may, even in this society. You deal with someone that is outside society, a homeless person, someone that's mentally ill. They're not following the rules. You still got to be able to protect yourself.
Totally agree.
And your family, even more so. I mean, if I get beat up and I drag myself to the hospital. They stitch me up and I go home, big deal.
Right.
Okay, but God forbid it happens to my wife and my daughter. That's a whole nother ballgame. Or some weaker person. I have an 8-year-old mother that walks around.
80-year-old.
Yeah, so she's very assertive. She trains, she's very assertive, she's tough, but she's 5'1", 110 pounds, and she's 8 years old. She does 15 rounds of the bag and 100 burpees. She's a freak of nature. But that being said, if I ever had to defend her, I'd have to defend her. It is what it is.
Correct. The modern psychology teaches us to be in sync with our emotions. What do you think of that, especially being a professional boxing coach?
I just don't know what good it will do you. I don't know what you're going to feel bad. Everybody feels bad. I feel bad too. So what? I don't understand what has any bearing on anything. I don't get it. Like I said, if I stopped earning a living, my family, my mother, my wife, my daughter, my sister, they love me. There's no way they could love me if I just stayed on the couch every day. It'd be impossible.
Correct.
Now my wife and daughter, they could stay home for a month. It wouldn't matter to me.
Correct.
I'm just glad to have their company, their charm, their affection. That's all they got to come up with. I could have all the charm or affection I want. If I don't bring home the bacon, party's over.
For sure.
Party's over, and you can't blame, and I wouldn't blame them.
Yeah. Like Chris Rock said, right?
That's it. I mean, if my daughter said, I'm gonna stay every day, I'm gonna go to my girlfriend's house and stay over because they have food in the refrigerator, how could I blame her?
Correct. So what do you do when you're having a bad day?
I actually literally, what I personally do is I make myself smile. I force myself.
So you come in and
smile.
it's just one of those days. Everything is
wrong.
A little fucked up.
Everything's off.
Everything's off, but you get yourself together.
I look in the mirror before I leave the house and I make myself smile. Because somewhere I read, I don't even know if it's true, that when you physically smile, it releases endorphins in your chemicals in your brain that make you feel better. So I don't know if it's true or not, but I convince myself it is, which is all enough to get me in the car or get my shoes on and get out the door, get moving. And then once things start moving, good things are bound to happen. Somebody lands a good punch, somebody pays a nice compliment, you sell a membership, something happens.
And all of a sudden it's good.
Things are back. Yeah, if I would have stayed home, none of that would have happened.
What I found real interesting about you is that you don't do drugs, you don't know alcohol, you don't know nothing.
No. I mean, I have drank before. I have smoked. I tried marijuana. I was in Jamaica, and I was working at a resort, and these Jamaican guys with dreads, and they were cliff diving. They've ever seen those famous cliff dives?
Right.
So I was at the restaurant, Rick's Cafe, and as a joke, I told the manager, I said, listen, if you comp my dinner, I'll jump off the cliff. I was joking. So I'm wearing a suit. If you comp my dinner, if I get to eat for free, me and my date at the time, I said I'll jump off the cliff. So he comes over with a blowhorn. He goes, hey man, Mr. Dino's gonna jump off the cliff, everybody. So I was embarrassed into doing it. So I went out there, I took off my clothes, I'm in my boxer shorts. I go out there and I told the guy I'm gonna jump. He goes, no, you can't jump. You have to dive or you hit the rocks. I look over and the whole restaurant is up at the balcony staring at me.
Looking at you.
Yeah, so boom.
Wow.
I dive off the cliff, my head hits the kid, like it felt like concrete hit me. I went down so far, it's nighttime, it's scary. I finally go out, oh my God.
Crazy.
Everybody applauds. And the guys tell me, hey man, Mike Tyson's fighting tonight, you wanna watch? They go, I have cable TV. I go, yeah, sure. So I go to the guy's house, they're smoking joints this big, the house is the size of this ring. So even if you're not into it, it's in you, whether you like it or not. So I'm like starting to see things, because I normally don't smoke, so it's just the secondhand smoke is so strong for me. First of all, he goes, yeah, we got cable TV. He goes to the other guy's, someone else's house, he takes the cable out of their house, he runs over, sticks in the window, they stick in the TV. That's for starters. So I'm already like laughing. So now they put Buster Douglas, he's fighting Buster Douglas, his first loss.
Oh, it was the 90s.
I go, oh my God, there's so much drugs in this room, it looks like Mike Tyson got knocked out. They go, yeah, man, he did get knocked out.
No way, you remember clearly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Was that 94, 93? Something like that.
Long time ago.
That was crazy fight.
Yeah, so yeah, I don't do drugs. I've been around drugs. I've had a drink before, obviously, but I don't feel, it's not like some mission or vow or I'm trying to perform better.
Right.
I just don't feel better when I do it. Like I was just teasing someone today. He's like, can you have a drink with me today? I said, unfortunately, unlike you, I have a personality, so I don't need the drink today. I was teasing him, but I kind of was kidding on the square.
Correct.
He has a personality. He's a great guy. I was just being a ball buster.
But see what you just said. So what's your recommendation? This is exactly what it is, because guys need that. So what do you recommend for the guys? You have those, I would say, emotional nights when it's everything is sad and you think about her, what she's doing right now in Jamaica, right?
Whatever, right,
so
I agree.
What do you recommend for the boys, whatever, they come in the gym in those days? Because some guys, they're like, I gotta smoke a joint, I gotta have a shot. Russians, Eastern Europeans, a little different. Boys over here, they're more into the marijuana, if they're so called.
I would, the best thing you could do is work out.
Work out, right?
Second best, maybe equally, just different, depending on who you are. Go make money.
Depression can't hit a moving target.
Go make money. Go to your job. Yeah, go sell a car. Go do something. That you get money in your bank, you don't feel so bad no more. You get in shape, you don't feel so bad anymore. You do one extra push-up, you don't feel so bad anymore. Go do something. You're not gonna feel better after smoking a joint. Whatever your problem is still your problem, and you're tired and lethargic and you didn't accomplish anything. Go do something.
Do you see that in fighters? Do you have any good examples that maybe your fighters or somebody that boxing actually saved them in that formal way? Otherwise, they're just jumping off the cliff.
I don't know anyone that's confided in me where they were like suicide, but I know that that they had nothing. I know Mike Tyson tells a story about he was a nobody and he wanted to be a somebody. That's why he boxed. The kids get criticized today for wanting to be famous. Mike is one of the most heralded boxers of all time that's known for being authentic, and he didn't wear socks, and he didn't have fancy robes, and he didn't do any of the show business, right? Yeah, the towel. Exactly. So he's famous for being this authentic, raw, tough guy, and he didn't want it. He wasn't doing it for anything else other than being famous to change his life, because he was sick of being a nobody. He was sick of getting picked on, he was sick of getting pushed around, sick of being broke, sick of being a nobody, and he wanted to become a somebody. So he did.
Right.
That being said, it didn't make him happy.
Still didn't. And you see that happen all the time.
I find that most fighters are either looking for championships, and people in general, they're looking for a new car, a new watch, a new girl, a new belt, a new title, a new house, something, and it's gonna make them happy, and it never does. It does, maybe temporarily, maybe a few minutes. One of my fighters said, you know what? I saw this shirt, and I thought to myself, I'm gonna buy this and make myself, I'm gonna make myself feel better. He goes, it worked for a few seconds.
Right.
A few seconds.
Exactly. Same thing with the bags and girls.
Same thing with the marijuana, same thing with the drink. It's not gonna hold you. But that being said, I think that maybe that all just stems from how much love and attention you got from your parents.
That's also true. That's true.
So I don't know. I mean, I know people that have good relations with their parents seem to be pretty content.
I remember when we met many years ago, and you said that you haven't seen a successful fighter with a good upbringing.
Yeah,
Yeah?
I agree.
Yeah.
They have something to prove. A lot of them want to prove they're a father. They think that when their father's a drunk, a drug addict, he cheats on their mother, he slaps their mother, he doesn't show up, he does all these terrible things.
Right.
They think when they win the world title and they got $50 million to make, they're gonna bring him back and everyone's gonna be one happy family again.
All of a sudden, Pop's gonna love you, right?
All it does is Pop steals your money. He's worse than he was before. He's a bigger
Right.
jerk. And I've seen that happen many, many times. Or they take over their career and they stifle their career where they get the kid to a certain point and the kid fights so hard for the approval of his father. And then the father only knows so much about boxing and they get to a point where he can't help him anymore. And the poor kid's stuck. Does he fire his father? Can he bring somebody else in? The father's ego's
Correct.
involved. He's a Fed. What do you mean? I made you the world champion. How can you bring somebody else in?
Even though father has no experience in pro boxing, right?
Correct. And some guys have done it. Joe Galzacki's dad, very famous. He's a violinist. He got a book on boxing, taught his kid to box, made the kid a world champion.
And it worked, right?
It worked. It works many times, but we don't see the 300 times it didn't work. So,
So do you think it's a big impact if let's say this, for the aspiring fighters or athletes in general, right? Do you think it's a big impact if the fighter knows the stuff or he doesn't? What do you think is better?
There's Lomachenko's dad that obviously knows a lot.
Right, Papachenko.
There's Teofimo Lopez's dad that isn't experienced. All his experience comes with his kid, who won.
Right, valid point.
I mean,
Valid
you
point.
might have 100 people say that Papachenko's much better coach. Well, the other guy's kid won. So who's to argue with success?
Right.
Who cares how you feel? Who cares what the relationship? Who cares if Teofimo's doing it just to prove to his dad, to make his dad love him more? Doesn't matter. It worked.
Correct.
He's the champion.
So do you think it's more?
So I think that Teofimo's dad motivated his kid exactly how he needed to motivate his kid.
Mm-hmm.
He found the psychological. He did it whatever way. 10 guys could disagree with him. How could you disagree with him? His son became the all-belt world champion. Had half the experience that Lomachenko had, and he still did it. How are you going to argue with the guy's success? People criticize the guy all the time. Listen, Teofimo and his dad have been nothing nice to me. There are little interactions.
I've seen him spar in the gym too.
Yeah, he's been here, and you could see, maybe I've seen him. He yells at his kid. Okay, so what?
Right.
He won. He made his kid rich. His kid criticizes him now. How could his kid criticize him? Guy made him rich.
So do you think it's more in the fighting game?
Don't get me wrong, I know he's not perfect.
I agree.
Nobody is.
So in the fight game, you think it's more that these fighters want to prove their masculinity to their fathers, or more towards mothers, or it doesn't really matter what you
I
think?
think that many times it's just for some semblance of love from somebody.
Some semblance from love.
Some semblance of love from somebody.
Right.
I think that if fighting gets it from their dad, then that solves the problem. If it gets it from the audience and from the world, that solves the problem. But there's definitely, I think that's what they're fighting for. When they're going out there, they're not thinking about how much money the check is at the end of the fight. None of that's on their minds.
Correct. Do modern men even know what it takes to be masculine, or what to be masculine? What's masculinity to you?
Just a natural way a man would act. I don't think it's anything particular or special.
And what do you think that is, in your opinion?
Obviously you have to work, you have to provide, you have to protect.
Provide, protect.
That's it's really just that, because no one really cares about anything else anyway. So, those are your two jobs. If you don't do those two jobs, then you're kind of useless.
I love how you didn't get sentimental about it.
Yeah, really, that's it.
Just really
provide and protect, yeah.
Provide, and be able to do that.
Yeah, you have to be able to do it. People have to have confidence in you that's, even when you have, there's times when I've had broken legs. Obviously, I can't defend anybody. They know that once I get back to normal, then I'll be back to, then I can provide and protect. I've had a job since I'm 13 years old. I've had 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs. I wouldn't know anything else.
Right.
I broke my femur bone in a car accident, and whatever week I was home was the first week I was back to teaching.
So what was your first job?
My first job, I was a bus boy in a nightclub.
A bus boy. Explain to the audience what's a bus boy.
A bus boy is you take the dirty dishes
Right.
off the plates. You bring fresh ashtrays.
Is this a Godfellas scene or what?
Yeah, similar, very similar.
Yeah.
It was called Johnny's Cabana Club.
Johnny's Cabana Club in Chicago.
In Chicago, and the owners were real made guys.
Right.
In part of the Chicago outfit, as they call it.
This was early 80s, right?
This was 19. Let's see, if I was 13, it was 1984.
The peak of action.
So it was great. One guy used to come in with a full-length trench coat on every time.
Yeah.
The summertime it was thin. The wintertime it was heavy. He drove a Ferrari, and he used to have two big silver pistols that he used to carry like this. And he'd come in the kitchen, and I'd open up his coat. He'd open up his coat. 13 years old. I'd reach in, I'd grab the two guns, and I'd put him in the dough mixer after he left the kitchen, and I'd lock him in the pizza mixer. And then, because he would get all crazy and drunk, and I obviously can't let him have his gun. One time he came in, and I was 15 at the time.
Yeah. Still
not driver's license age, and probably about, now I'm 5'10", 250. At the time I was 5'8", 150. And I took his Ferrari all the way to my neighborhood, from where we were all the way neighborhood to show my friends the Ferrari.
Was it Ferrari Dino?
That's it, you got it.
Yes.
I wish, no, it was the same one that Tom Selleck drove in the Magnum
Hawaii,
PI.
in Hawaii.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yes.
So I took it all the way there and all the way back, and he was so drunk he didn't even realize.
Wow. I mean, Chicago stories. So you were a busboy, and then you opened your own dojo, right?
Well, I started doing that. I was already teaching martial arts.
When did you start doing martial arts?
I started doing martial arts at 5. When I was about 12, my instructor said to me, "Can you warm up the class?" I said, "Sure." So I started warming up the class, jumping jacks, toe touches, basic calisthenics. I look over, he's gone. So I teach the class. That's a kid's class, no problem. I'm 12, they're 5, no problem. Next is the adult beginner class. He's still not around, so I teach the class. Next, the adult intermediate class. I teach the class. Next, the adult, essentially a black belt class.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, I'm sure he told the adults, but he didn't tell me. He's like, they're like, are you gonna start class or not? I'm like, you guys are higher ranked than me. Like,
No,
we don't work here.
And you were 13.
I was 12. So I started the class, I finished the class, he came back the next day, I said, "What happened to you? I thought you said warm up the class." He said, "I heard you did a great job." I said, "Oh, yeah, but I thought you were coming back." He goes, "If I would have stood over you and watched you teach, you would have been worried about my opinion. Instead, you just taught." And so from that point on, I taught, but that wasn't really a job. I teach,
No more anxiety, right?
I mean, for starters, he didn't pay me, so it really wasn't a job, but it was a position that I had there. But then from there, I worked in the nightclub, and then a fight broke out when I was about 15 in that same club, and I jumped to help, and I moved from that to doing security. They didn't make me bust any more dirty tables anymore.
No more.
So they saw me, I could handle myself a little bit, and they gave me a job as a security guard, essentially.
So what did your mom think of it?
My mom was a hard worker. My father passed away when I was 13 before I got that job. And my mom never worked really much in her life. She was just a housewife and a mother. And she went out and got a job as a waitress in a breakfast restaurant in a Hyatt hotel. So she was working. And,
so you were pretty much by yourself most of the day, right?
Yeah, I was at school. No, she worked where she came home. She worked like 5 in the morning, so she could be home for us, my sister and I. So, but I would do my homework. I'd play baseball. I'd go to martial art practice.
So you played baseball on top of that?
Yeah, during baseball season, sure. And then I would go home. I didn't have to work till late, so I could work I worked from like 8 until.
So you know
2.
what work is. You know what.
Yeah.
You know.
I only know work. Yeah.
Okay.
I always find I got good jobs. I wasn't shoveling.
Right.
I wasn't laying down railroad tracks. A lot of guys with a lot harder jobs than me. But don't get me wrong. But I always knew to work. I like to have money in my pocket. Plus, I don't want to have to ask. I could ask. My mom's working as a waitress.
Yeah.
If she made $500 a week, it was a lot. How am I going to ask for $100 for a pair of Jordans? You know what I'm saying?
The first Jordans came out.
Yeah, exactly. How could I? It doesn't make. How can I ask a lady that makes $500 a week for $100 for shoes?
Wow.
Doesn't make any sense. So I want to just, I work.
We're gonna get back to the Jordan stories later too.
Okay, good. We got Jordan.
So my question immediately, yes, we know about your father and what a great and strong man he was, by the pictures, by the stories. So you said your dad passed away when you were 13, right?
Yeah.
Now being the masculine mentor to all the fighters and teaching them, coaching them, whatever you're gonna call it, how did that made you a man? And how did you find a way to grow up to achieve that level of, I would say, being a man? Even though you lost your dad at an early age, do you think you got your lessons from your dad back then? Or?
I got some lessons from him, but he was, he had a baby son that he wanted to take care of and protect and provide for, so he didn't put any, I had no stipulations, no restrictions, no.
So you pretty much could do what you want, right?
Yeah, I could do it, as long as I wasn't stealing or hurting my little sister, something like that.
Right.
So that was, I didn't need to grow up until I needed to grow up. He probably would have gradually, incorporated teaching me and, and let life give a little and give a little from him, and that would have been a normal relationship. But since he was gone, he had to grow up, fast.
So you became a man of the house at 13.
In the martial arts school, you get treated like your rank. So if you're a blue belt.
So you started classic with the white belt, you come in, right?
But if you're a blue belt and you're 12 or you're a blue belt and you're 35.
What was the first martial arts? It was Jeet Kune Do?
Chinese Kung Fu.
Chinese Kung Fu.
Which was like kind of like, we kickboxed essentially as far as competition went. So it was kind of like kickboxing.
Yeah.
There was a street, self-defense element to it as well. There was the formal, like where you see the guys jumping around and flying in the air. We did all that stuff. Yeah. So it was very well-rounded training, as far as athletics go, flexibility, agility, coordination, balance, and toughness. You had we actually, fought both in the gym and in tournaments.
Right.
And there was guys better than me. There were guys worse than me. Guys more talented than me. I remember when I was about 10, maybe younger. There's this black kid named Ben Brown. And Ben Brown was so poor.
Ben Brown.
Black Ben Brown, yeah. He was so poor, he was dirty. Like his clothes were dirty.
Yeah.
He had old shoes. Like his parents couldn't replace his shoes every, 6 months or whatever.
Yeah.
His kids were rough and everything. So he looked like a mess. And he would beat my ass constantly. Like the first day, he kicked me in my mouth with his bare foot.
And it was all boys school you went to, right?
I went to an all boys high school. In grammar school, we went to a co-ed, but I lived in a white neighborhood. Yeah. I grew up in the worst neighborhood in Chicago. West side, my very first neighborhood. But by the time I turned 6, or 5 even, I lived in we moved to a much nicer, safer neighborhood. My first apartment building was above a bar, and I lived and I couldn't go anywhere in the neighborhood other than on the roof. No place else was really safe. It was a really bad, tough, black neighborhood, and I stuck out like a sore thumb. So they moved us to the lily white neighborhood. That being said, the gym was in the old neighborhood. So we used to go there.
You had to go there.
So I was the only white kid in the gym, basically. There's a couple exceptions, but basically. And Ben would beat my ass. And then one day Ben came he had brand new gear. He had new gloves, the team jacket. No, it was like the team, the gym, local stuff. And I go, man, where'd you get all this stuff from? He goes, oh, your daddy buys it for me every time I beat your ass in sparring class.
No way.
So my dad was paying this kid to be rough on me. I didn't know that until later, yeah.
Talk about the 80s.
Yeah.
Wow, so you think that helped you?
Oh, for sure.
For sure, right?
Absolutely. Everything that happens to you helps, whether you want to use it as a positive or negative. Yeah. I mean, a lot of people might have took that as a negative. Oh my God, I can't believe my dad's having this guy beat me up and this is terrible. I have flashbacks every time I see a punch now because I'm scared, but that's not the case. It did nothing but help me.
But he still didn't get him shoes.
Eventually he got shoes.
You got shoes for him too?
He got everything, yeah.
So your dad basically sponsored ass beating for you.
Exactly, yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen.
There you go. So
that's how you become great.
That's how you get tough.
Yes. That being said.
I would imagine Eastern Europe's the same thing.
Oh, Eastern Europe is Chicago in the 80s still.
Yeah, you're 30 years behind.
We're still years behind. Still.
Exactly.
I told you we watched Golden Girls and Magnum in the 90s.
Exactly.
It was like the hit show.
Yeah, I mean, I know when we were there was guys like older guys.
We were there.
Ready to start a fist fight with us,
We were there.
Yeah,
Tell us a story. We were there with...
Coach Lewis?
We were there with Coach Lewis. Yeah. We were there with Noel Mikelian.
Yeah, we were there for the title.
For the title fight, and we were there 2 days.
Yeah.
And the gentleman almost got into fist fight.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again,
it's not that big of a deal. I mean, I don't even know. Like, unless you're taking someone and bouncing their head off the concrete. I've had my nose broken. I got a few teeth missing. It didn't stop me from going to college. I didn't graduate college, but it didn't stop me from going. It wasn't because I got a broken nose, I couldn't go to college. It doesn't end. You can still go on, function. It's not that serious. People get hurt doing all kinds of things. People are scared of fighting. People get in a car accident, they smash their head on the dashboard.
Correct.
They get out and you cut me off, they're screaming out.
Yes.
You punch someone in the nose, they go,
it's always like that.
It's not that they're hurt that bad.
This being said, learned that from you, by the way. That being said. That's Dino's phrase. So, since you work with a lot of younger kids, I represent younger kids. I have kids who are single parent household, kids who have both parents. And nowadays, this is very hard to explain these stories. So these kids, I've noticed, they live their lives almost do not get in a conflict, and they almost live their life basically subconsciously scared by any conflict.
Avoiding anything. Yeah.
Avoiding anything. So nowadays, let's say if we're talking to a son of a single mom, what do you recommend for her? She understands that as a woman, it's very hard to raise a young man. What do you recommend her to the moms, even maybe to the dads who raise these kids?
The media has women's brains scrambled anyway.
That's a quote.
So if the poor woman is fighting to keep food on her table, keep a roof over their head, and she's got everyone telling, she's got people telling that men are no good. Men are no good, and she has a son?
Yeah.
How's he no good? He's only no good if you make him no good.
Right.
So, and to do all that and then have time to work, and the kids gotta have time, you only have a little bit of time with them. I think that the most important thing that they can do is to get him around somebody that is gonna be a good example. And that being said, you can't leave him alone. You can't just drop off your 5-year-old at some boxing gym. The guy could be a pervert, you never know.
Oh yeah.
So the job's not over. It's not just, you can't just hand your kids off.
But by the same means, if you don't raise them, the Instagram and Pornhub will raise them too, right?
I used to teach at a place called Latin High School in Chicago.
Yeah.
It's a very expensive private school. The mayor's kids go there.
Yeah.
Big business owners, very famous people, blah, blah, blah. Midwest is very, it's a lot more low key than New York City, LA, Miami.
Midwest or Chicago?
Midwest in general and Chicago, but there's a lot of very successful, the Kellogg's companies from the Midwest.
Right.
I mean, they have a few bucks. And those kids like that go to those kind of schools.
Yeah.
At the same exact time, I was teaching kids that were in jail, literally in Cook County.
Juvenile?
No, they were in jail waiting to get their trial. They haven't been convicted yet. They may have had past convictions, but they have to maintain high school.
So you did like a charitable event, right?
I just did it to help out. I mean, now I have a formal charity, Boxability.
Yes.
At the time, I just donated my time because I thought these kids are scrambled eggs, they need help. The other place paid me, the expensive school paid me.
So you just came up, you're like, I want to do something good, you got invited.
Someone told me, listen, you got these kids in jail, they're all messed up, blah, blah, blah. What do you think? I said, I can help them. They said, what do you mean you can help them? I said, let me get my hands on them, I'll help them. So I got in there, and both kids had the exact same problem. They did sex and drugs and alcohol when their parents weren't around. So whether the parents were in Vail skiing or their parents were locked up for doing crack.
Yeah.
When your parents are not around, you're not doing anything you do wrong.
So this all started of lack of supervision, you believe?
100%. Lack of parent supervision. Lack of parent supervision. Someone that loves you, that tells you, don't do that, opposed to somebody that's their job to tell you don't do that.
But if the kid lived down the street and he said, listen, we're going skiing, mom and dad are going to Aspen, get your ass to Dino, would that be different?
Yeah, it wouldn't be the same thing.
Yeah?
It wouldn't be close. I mean,
You still think the parents need to be there,
If we developed a relationship where the kids under the impression that I'm a stable person and the parents count on me, and they're most of the time they're with their parents and sometimes they're with me, that's one thing. But even that, if he comes here, even if the kid came here, I open at 6:30 in the morning, and I leave at 6:30 at night. So if he stayed with me 12 hours, okay, now I gotta go home to my family. Now he's free to do whatever he wants. He has no judgment. He's 12, he's 14, he's 18. There's no judgment.
So what's the cure? What do you do?
Parents, spend time with your kids.
Spend time with your kids. But
Pick them up, take them, drive them. Parents, spend time with your kids. If you are poor, like we were before my father passed away, we were living the life of Riley. I mean, I was living, we had everything. I was a spoiled brat.
Yeah.
I was respectful, I was polite because my parents kept me that way, but in general, I got whatever I wanted, which is what spoiled is, right? So I got whatever I wanted, and then I got nothing. Then I went on a good job and got it for myself.
But this probably was like, I want to say the cliche word, traumatic.
Traumatic, yeah.
But that kind of...
I guess it's traumatic. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I don't even know, what's the difference?
You don't look at it as a sadness from those times. You don't
the
look at it as...
best and worst thing ever happened to me when my father died. The best and the worst thing ever happened to me, my father died.
Wow, that's
My father was so tough, so strong. He was a gangster. So successful, he made a lot of money. so many connections that I would have been protected my whole life and never, talk about no conflict. I wouldn't have had conflict. There would have been no conflict except for the drummed up conflict he kind of tried to create for me.
Yeah.
But he loved me so much that I don't think he could have really left me out to dry, which is where that's when you really learn, when you're out to dry, when there's nobody but yourself to rely on. You see world champion, tough guys, successful football player stars, your kids are always a bunch of losers. Because their dad has protected them, providing for them. And they can't help it. How do you have millions of dollars to make and not buy your kid a nice car for his 16th birthday?
You see, that would have noticed too, but what do you think about this? It's usually like this. You see these people, let's say, even maybe some main men, athletes, politicians, businessmen, everybody, right? And we know these stories. They come to the gym, you had fighters like that who come in, and the father went to the misery, to the adversity. Father was, let's just say, fucked by life a little bit, right? He made his own thing. He became the man he was. And then his biggest wish is, I don't wish my little boy to go over that.
Of course, to go through that trauma.
So, but that's what made the father great, right? He became the man who is. So what do you think is...
That's why it turns out, it appears to me that people that live like a middle-class lifestyle are, you're better off that way. You're better off having, where your dad can help you, but he can't carry you. Your dad can protect you, but he can't be there all the time.
So you believe there's a middle ground?
The balance, balance
right?
is ideal. Easier said than done, but balance is ideal.
So what do you recommend I represent clients who are, let's say, 16 years old, right? Hockey players, could be basketball players. Fighters usually are a little different breed, as we know, right? But let's say if a team player, you come over to the United States, or you play in Eastern Europe, whatever, you live in a good family. And you're by yourself now. So what do you recommend for them? Is to do the sports, or just, what's the way for these guys? They come from a good family.
Yeah, I know. I think that the kid needs to be advised to make sure that he connects with other people, whether it be whether you put him in a family with somebody where they kind of like where he's staying with somebody, or with a coach. Because you gotta feel, I think it's important that when you do wrong, you have to feel like embarrassed. I don't think that punishment is the
If you do wrong, you have to be embarrassed.
Yeah, so you have to feel bad. I gotta be connected to a coach that if he finds out that I was drinking and hung over the next day in practice, I'd feel bad that he knows about it. In turn, that I wouldn't do it.
So this is accountability, meaning you need to have a mentor, coach who
cares?
Who cares? Somebody,
and
right?
You gotta care, and it's gotta be where you have to care, the kid's gotta care back. If the kid don't give a crap, that's not
So what if you come from a rich family? Let's say we start with a rich family and you've been spoiled all your life. You think there's an exit to that, or just like you're gonna be messed up?
I mean, I think the dad or the mom or whoever's in charge of the purse strings has to manage it very carefully. I mean, I also know rich people that give their kid nothing. They give they're so proud. When I die, my kid's gonna get zero, just like I had. Well, that's kind of silly. That's ridiculous. Who are you gonna give it to? Somebody else?
Correct.
That doesn't even make any sense.
The black Ben.
yeah, exactly. It doesn't make any sense. So I think that you just have to find a middle ground. You have to think about it.
Yeah. Because
you, as a person, aren't alone. You have your wife, you
Yeah.
have your father, you have your mother, you have your brothers, you have your friends.
Yeah.
You have to go reach out to them and try to come to with some kind of strategy. No different than you'd own a business. Come up with a strategy. How are we going to run this thing?
Yeah.
How to run a podcast, how to run a hot dog stand. You come up with a plan. If things aren't working, you make adjustments.
So.
But again, you have a hot dog stand. If you don't go to the hot dog stand, it's not going to work.
Exactly.
So you got to go to the hot dog stand. You got to be with your kid. You got to be involved.
You're right. This is what I tell to the parents. Let's say if I have a new client, for instance, right? Somebody, again, an athlete, right? They think that just by sending their son abroad, magic will happen. But it's like, if you've been in a restaurant business, right? If you live in Florida and you open a restaurant in Texas, what's going to happen to a restaurant if you're not going to manage it? If you're not going to...
I mean, there are people, there are restaurant groups that I know, for example, in gyms, there are people that are great at managing people.
Right.
They're great at managing the next level, which is great at managing the next level, is great at managing the next level, and they have a national, international corporation. I think that's wonderful. I don't think you do that with your child. I think you have to be there for him.
But the child, you believe, that child needs somebody who will mentor him like a bigger brother, like you do for many of kids.
Yeah, I agree, but there's a limit to how much. I have my own wife and kids.
Correct.
My mother and sister. There's only so much I can do for them. I used to do a lot more before I had my own daughter.
Yeah.
Now I can't. I gotta, if I'm gonna mentor somebody, it's gonna be her.
Correct.
You know, so I'm not hanging, I used to hang out with the guys all day long.
But what if you don't have both parents? What do you do then?
I mean, you have to decide what you want. You, the athlete.
This is where you praise us to these guys to come in and work. People like that, like we need.
Yeah, you have to decide what you want as a person, and then find yourself the right environment, like the Fifth Street Gym.
Correct.
Like you, that will take care, will be on top of things, will make sure kids don't get it taken advantage of. But you're fighting with them. We're all fighting the same fight together.
Right.
So we gotta be in the same team, pushing the same direction. If the kid is going against what our wishes, we've had instances where we set up fights for kids. Kids they would rather travel. Well, travel, what do you mean? Not now. Now we're right in the middle of this. You know, but you can't make someone do something they don't want to do. You can lead a horse to water, can't make them drink. So we provide the environment for you to be successful. And many people have gone a long way with just in a little short career that we have together. They've already gone a long way. They have to want it. But if they only want to be the champion, and then that's it. You may be the champion and still not be happy.
Can you teach that?
You can advise that. You can remind them of that.
You
they have to decide what they want.
Discipline.
But you have to make sure. I think a lot of people want to be. They become champion, think champion is going to make them happy. They become rich, thinking rich can make them happy. Right. And then you find out, oh, now they're a drug addict, now they're this, now they're that, because they can't be happy. You got to decide: is your goal to be champion, or is your goal to be happy? Is your goal to be rich, or is it to be famous? Now you might also have those other things that may fall into place. But happiness is not the one that falls into place.
Yes.
You know, that's not the one that you get on accident. Happiness is I really think you have to make an effort for it, and you have to find priorities. I've had fighters that they thought fighting was their whole life, and then when they get a family, they realize this is way more fulfilling and rewarding. Right. Coming home to my wife and my daughter is way more fun than going to the gym and have them go, oh, you did a good job sparring today.
Right.
You know, so.
So going back to what you said, they're becoming champions, but they knew what they're doing. See, I've noticed that a lot of this misery, not only with athletes, but people in general, comes from stuff that they don't know what they want. And life has this interesting thing about life is when you don't know what you want, she will show you what you don't want.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that a lot.
I tease the guys all the time. They're all single young guys, typically, you know.
Yeah.
And they have these girlfriends that they fight with, or she doesn't want them. I said, break up with her. What are you doing? Why just break up with her?
Yeah.
Let her meet who she's supposed to meet. Now she's wasting her time with you. Are you gonna marry her? No, I'm not, they say.
Yeah.
I'm only 21 years old. Okay, so then let her meet a 30-year-old guy that's serious and wants to marry her and have kids. That's what she wants, and she knows you don't want that. That's why there's this constant tension.
Yeah.
Not that she's mad you spent an extra 30 minutes at the boxing gym. She's mad that she's spent an extra 30 minutes at the boxing gym. That's not about her life, your life together. So that's what she's mad at. So don't waste her time, don't waste your time. You're spending time on what's not helping you instead of what's helping you. And you're doing the same thing to her. You're being
100%.
selfish. You want someone to keep you company and be your buddy when you come home, and you want to sleep with her, and you want her to go on your day off on Sunday, you want to go, she's there to hold your hand. How selfish are you little brat? That's not right. Let her have her life.
I love that you brought this up. So since we're in the business of fighting, sports in general, do you think young guys, do women help athletes or women do not help athletes in a way?
I think that.
Do you think it's a blessing or it's something?
I mean, I think it can be both.
Yeah. But tell me your experience about fighters in general, because we know these stories how the girlfriend comes in and all of a sudden, like, that tension goes somewhere else except out.
Most of the time it's bad.
Most of the time it's bad, you think?
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you.
Occasionally, a woman realizes what she has in this person and wants to support him. That being said, you know, she does all that, and then you're going to run around on her. Well, she's going to get mad, and then she's going to mess with you somehow, some way. You can't have her hold your gym bag, drive you to practice, pull your spitting mouth guard out, wipe your blood, keep you company when after you lost the fight and no one wants to do interviews with you anymore, and then you win a fight and then you cheat on her?
We see that all the time.
I mean, it's no different than I bring a guy to the championship and then he wants to fire me and hire some famous coach. Now you want to hire a famous coach? Should I hire a famous coach before?
But you're the famous coach.
Yeah, but on my way up,
correct.
I've had that happen, you know? And I always, people come to the gym, they work out, and I go, hey, listen, champ, you're so good, wow, blah, blah. You and your team are always welcome back.
Yeah.
I'm not saying, hey, let me get your number. Let me start training you, see what I can do for you, blah, blah. Not interested in doing what other people do. And inadvertently, I've done it by making people feel welcome.
Yeah.
They come without their coach, and then they say, oh, yeah, if they move from Miami, that's to Miami, I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they come from across the bridge. I'm not interested in them without their coach.
I hear these conversations, and I've seen it all. I want to hear your opinion about, do you think women are the motivating factor, or a champion will be champion regardless of the woman?
I think there's a lot of guys out there that becomes very successful just because they want to get laid. I think they're very inspired by that.
But they want to get...
No different from a caveman going out in the woods and coming back with a, whatever,
But they want to get laid to that one little special sweetheart, or they want in
both.
general? Both,
I think
right?
both. I think there's all those occasions.
Because you hear stories all the time. We hear Shane Mosley stories, we hear Mike Tyson stories, Evander Holyfield stories, right? And many, many more.
Well, because of their affluence, the fighters' affluence, they are now around people that are educated.
Yeah.
If they're educated and bad people, that's a bad combination.
You mean the
woman,
female?
The woman in this case. So if you're a boxer, there's no education, and you trust her, she just told you she loves you. We just slept together. We woke up hugging each other. I got a contract. Can you read this for me, honey? You went to college? Yeah, sure, no problem.
And she did.
And then she does whatever she does.
Yes.
And then she says, yeah, no problem, this is great. And it turns out good. And the next thing turns out good, the next thing. And then she goes, here, sign this. And you go, okay.
Oh, yeah.
Before you know it, you got nothing.
So would you recommend guys get girlfriends early or no? What's your take on that?
I personally don't think for men in general, I don't think you should even think about getting serious until you're over 35 years old. I think you're wasting your time.
Repeat that, because
I don't think you should get serious about relationships until you're over 35 years old. I got married at 40, and I waited till 40. I could have met the most wonderful girl in the world. If I would have met her at 20, it would have done nobody any good. I might have recognized. I wasn't a stupid 20-year-old. I might have said, oh my God, this woman is so good.
Yeah.
She's so supportive. She's so smart. She's so this. But I know I'm a 20-year-old guy. Am I really gonna never be with another woman again the rest of my life? The answer is no, so why am I gonna ruin it for this girl? I had a beautiful girlfriend her family was very successful. I probably would have got a job with the company, my life would have been so much easier. She went away to college. I said, listen, you're going away to college. You need to, when the quarterback asks you on a date, you need to say yes. That's the college experience. That's the point of going. Yeah. Oh, no, but I love you. Blah, blah, blah. I said, I know you do. And when you come back, I'm not going nowhere. I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going off to college. Don't worry. When you come back, I'll still be here. I was 19. I'm not going to be married when you get back. Don't worry.
Dino, is pimping easy?
No, it's none of my business. I don't know. So I said, listen, go there and have a good time. Enjoy your college life, blah, blah. No, I love you. Stay together. We stayed together.
Because you understood this when you were 20.
Correct.
Okay, so...
19, actually. Yeah. So she goes away to college, and she finds her, on my birthday, I can't reach her because she's with her new boyfriend, which is what she should have did, but she should have done it the right way. She should have said, you're right, I'm going to college, I want to experience life. She wanted to hold on to me as like a security blanket and then go out there.
And you were realistic about it.
Of course. I was heartbroken. I was in tears when I got dumped. Even though I tried to break up with her for the right reason, when I found out she was running around me, I was heartbroken. And I got over it, like everybody does, and everybody keeps moving on.
This is what it comes down to, because most of these guys, they're so romantic and sentimental about this love of life, right? And then
ridiculous.
And it's like, but do you believe a young guy, let's say you're a young kid, you should get crushed, or you should just be absent from that?
I mean, you're going to get crushed. I don't know how you could not let yourself get attached. You just got to realize what it is, because when you're on to the next girlfriend, you don't even remember what the problem was before. You don't even could care less.
And especially when you're 20. And these guys think like, I had these things like guys sometimes, like I mentor these guys, and they're that age from 16 to like 22, 23. And they sometimes call you, and it's almost like, there's nothing out there, even though there's 4 billion other people, right? But that's it. No. And it's almost like they crushed them. And I had instances where guys went overseas, right? Young guys, they get a scholarship in NCAA and they go overboard. And all of a sudden, this unique, potentially legendary player, right? He gets lost because all of a sudden he can't take her back over there, right?
Yeah.
And now It's the time difference. Now he has a game. Now he's like, what is she doing? What is she doing? And these guys, they break. They mentally break because this little sweetheart is being shared.
Yeah.
And I noticed that a lot. And it's like sometimes these women, when they come in your life, like you said, I totally agree with you. Do not get super serious about it. Because when do you think you became the man you are today? How old were you? When you look back, you're like, fuck, that was cringe worthy.
Yeah,
you know?
no, I mean, I've always been put in a position to be manly. I would say, there's stepping stones. It's a gradual process.
Yeah.
When someone dies, you grow up.
Always, right?
When you're flat broke, you grow up.
Especially with your father, right?
Yeah. When your grandfather dies, when your dog dies, I mean, that's probably the first death I ever experienced. Anyone I knew was my father. So that was a shock to the system. I actually got my daughter a dog. Not because I want to walk a dog, not because I want to clean a dog, not because because he's only going to make it until she's 14, and then she's going to learn a lesson.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
Even though I've never heard a Black Ben story before, when your father paid people to beat you up.
Yeah, so
this
there you
one's
go.
on
So
there.
I mean, she wanted a dog. I had dogs. They died, and my heart was broken. I felt terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. I told myself, I'm never doing this again. That when she wanted a dog, I thought to myself, she's going to learn the same lesson that I learned.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a valuable. You have to learn how to deal with it. It is, and it's a much easier with your dog than it is with your parents. But at some point, she'll lose her parents.
So, as a
reality.
human and as a man, you believe we gotta go through life through this
I agree.
stuff.
You
You can't be
through it,
scared
yeah.
of that, right?
No, I don't even. I don't even know.
People are
what
scared of biggest
I know,
thing.
but I don't know what the difference is. What's who you are before
Well,
the
one
dog
day you had
dies?
your dad, next day he's
yeah.
not
so
there.
what? Okay, Ed. I don't even get it. Like, what are you gonna do? Jump off a bridge? If you're not gonna jump off a bridge, you're not gonna kill yourself. The only other thing is to move forward.
And this is a great reference going back to what you said. Most of these young guys, they've never been in a fist fight. They think it's gonna be just like this.
Yeah, they're terrified.
They're
It's nothing. It's
terrified.
not that big
And
of a
all
deal.
their life, they become, and the older they grow, the more they get terrified about
It's just not that serious.
it. Yeah, you gotta go through
Unless
it.
you're gonna die,
But
everything
then,
else is. Then you don't have to worry about it either. You're dead. So either way.
But that is like stupidity. Only the people around you suffer, you know?
Yeah, just there's right.
Yeah.
But there's just I don't even understand what the other option is.
Yeah, yeah. But people
get
live
it.
in this comfort, this world, like you said. Like, go back to masculinity, right? We live in this vacuum of like emotions like this.
Yeah,
out of
I'm a
reality.
very tough. My mother's very tough.
Oh,
But
I know.
Prior
I know.
to her, she had loving parents.
Yeah.
That being said, she's still very aggressive. She's very confrontational.
And she's a very beautiful woman. She looked like she
Yes.
did James Bond movies
Yeah,
in the 60s,
no,
right?
she couldn't, even at her age, people can't get over that, how old she is. She looks so young.
Oh, yeah.
She's so fit, so healthy, but she's very aggressive. She's very tough. And that busboy job, I wanted to go and spend New Year's Eve with my friends,
Yeah.
like people do. So when I was loading the bar on January 30th, the day before, I
Yeah.
pretended to hurt my knee. I go, oh my God, I twisted my knee.
To her,
No,
right?
to the boss at work.
'Cause you-
Then I limped home, and that next day I was like getting ready, like putting clothes on, not my uniform. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going out with my friends." She goes, "What do you mean? You work in a club? It's the biggest night of the year. You're off?" I said, "No. I pretended to hurt my knee, so I'm off." She goes, "Absolutely not.
You got
Those
checked.
people pay you every week, and now they need you. Get your uniform on right now." And I go, "I'm not gonna make it in time." She goes, "Get in the car. I'll drive you myself." And she dropped me off at work and made me go to work. And the reality is, I like everything. You don't know what it is until it is. I had the best New Year's Eve. My friends wish they were there having New Year's Eve. I was dancing with adult women. Everyone was drinking champagne. I don't drink, but it was there available.
Right,
If I
right.
wanted, it was there. We had a blast. It was the best New Year's Eve probably I've ever had. And it was all because my mother knows how you should act. That's how you should be. You should do the
And
right
this
thing.
is a lost art. Would you agree this is a lost art nowadays?
Yeah, because
This-
I was.
Would you call it more morals, or would you call it more? What's the right
I think
word?
it's because you can't beat your kids. Is what it is.
See, that is something. I grew up in Eastern Europe in the 90s. We got
Cracked.
easily, and the audience over there did this. And nowadays they can't do that. But let me ask you this. I hope you're not gonna get a court case because of what's saying. But do you believe that some tough love is necessary?
I believe it's paramount.
paramount.
Absolutely, 100%. I just don't.
You got
I
some
don't-
tips so you don't get arrested to the parents out there?
No, I mean, you know, I don't want to have that problem with my daughter. So the poor thing gets everything taken from her. I mean, it's always I don't play five. You know, they love their iPads, they love their toys, they love all this stuff. Man, the second
You
there's
give him that. You give him the iPad.
but I take it away the second there's a problem.
So
If you look over my balcony, actually, there's another roof below. There's probably 5 or 6 toys still there from me whipping them out the window.
No problem, right?
Because I don't want child services called, so I can't lay my hands on her. But she can't. She's only 8 years old, but she can't be a disrespectful bad 8-year-old because a disrespectful bad 8-year-old is a disrespectful bad 28-year-old.
Correct.
So can't
you
do it.
believe
Now,
this discipline is necessary?
this discipline is period. Discipline is
But you see
everything.
this especially in the Western society where God bless America, right? I'm here, we're
Sure.
loving it, but I've noticed is the far more west it goes, again, like always comes to this, you know how good times create weak men, etc.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
So nowadays when you see this stuff, so again, going back to this, what do we say to those people of, let's say, be more tough, parents, be more tough, put him in the fight game, bring him to the boxing, like what is...
I mean, for
if you had a son, and you were a single mom in California,
for starters, you got to be consistent.
consistency. How do you get consistent?
You wake up on time.
You
You get dressed on time.
Make your bed.
You go to make your bed. You go to work.
Okay.
You don't tell. I don't need my mom to tell me clean your room. That's not doing me any good. My mom cleans her room.
Yeah, 'cause
everything's
she beat
clean.
the shit out of you.
And my house is a mess. My
It's
room's a
different,
mess.
but it's different. But now
yeah,
it can't be.
but I don't need that. I don't need that. I don't even want to have that conversation with my daughter. Clean your room.
So it's just like
Just
comes-
clean. My wife keeps the house clean. She sees how it is. This is look. I tell her, look at mama. Look how hard she works. Look what she's doing.
Right.
Look, see.
So
And
you
again,
give a positive example.
got to be an
right?
example first and foremost.
Okay,
You
so-
can't lead by. You
So
have
you
to lead
need
by
an
example.
example. You
have to lead by example.
So would you say, if you come from, again, single parent household and maybe your dad is busy at work, you think you need a positive and masculine role model in this day?
Like I said, I had the gym. I had the people. I had the black belts. I admired them for being champions, for being tough.
Yeah.
They weren't perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but for the 2 hours that I saw them, they were on time, they were in uniform, they were respectful, they followed the culture and the rules of the regulations of the gym.
Yeah.
They did everything you could have asked them to do. Turns out later I found out my martial art instructor was like a crazy man. They were doing all kind of crazy stuff that I had no idea.
But he was professional,
But
so was you.
at the gym, I didn't know that. You know, he was very professional at the gym.
And do you believe he was a good influence towards you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Taught me a lot of things.
Got it.
Absolutely.
So he's been professional in a way.
Very professional. And that being said, I don't know what the payment was. I don't know if he made any money off me. He was a friend of my father's, so I have no idea. You know, he
You also had new gear every month, right?
I didn't get any new gear.
No, he did.
Oh, no, he didn't get any.
No.
He made a lot of money. He was successful. His gyms were very successful. In the 70s, he had 5 gyms with over 1,000 members. I mean, he was making a lot of money.
And especially that was like the Bruce Lee boom,
That was the Bruce Lee
martial
boom,
arts,
right? Exactly. So he was on the boom.
No fear, no surrender.
Yeah, that's a little later, but yeah.
Really?
yeah.
Going back to this. So it's easy for us to sit here in the boxing gym and say how you just got to do it. But let's say, again, you're that single mom and you have that little spoiled kid already who basically puts middle fingers up every time.
Well, you
ask him to
created
do
that,
something.
number one.
Of course. I totally agree.
Number 2, you have to draw a line in the sand. That's
Yeah.
it. You have to, it's laziness. Sometimes I'm lazy too. I'm watching a football game or whatever
Yeah.
it is. I have a big boxing match I want to see on TV,
Right.
and she's doing something she's not supposed to. Do I really want to stop everything I'm doing and take her Barbie doll and throw it out the window and have her cry for half an hour?
Yeah.
But that's what it is. That's what it comes down to. Do I want to go out with my friends on Friday night or want to sit home and be with her? So number 1, you got to be prepared to be with them. And number 2, you got to be prepared to stand your ground, draw a line in the sand. They need you for everything. Don't give them anything other than your time, a roof, and food.
So make it earn.
Don't give them anything unless they're being good kids.
I heard a good take about how kids who grew up to be successful in the Western world, right, so to speak, good kids with morals, they all had duties, they all had jobs, they all had works. Would you agree that that's the one thing that kids need to do, be doing something? This all comes out of
100%.
something that
100%, I agree. Yeah, I think there's some crazy statistic that kids that had jobs in high school, as adults, have the highest self-esteem.
kids who had jobs in high school as adults have the highest self-esteem.
I just heard that. I didn't do the research, but in general, I know that as a child that worked, I was very proud of myself. I was proud that I had my own money in my pocket.
You get your own money, right?
Exactly.
You didn't have to ask your mom money.
Exactly. So that goes a long way. I mean, my mom helped me a lot. She worked and gave us everything. So then I didn't need my money to pay for food. I had my money to pay for fun stuff. Don't make me wrong. She worked her ass off, and she still works today. Helps me run the gym to this day. But again, that's the example. She does two things to this day. I'm 53 years old, 54. She spends time with me.
Yeah.
And she sets a good example.
It's still there.
I don't know what else you can do. Some people are going to turn out bad. Bad things happen. You can't be with your kid 24/7.
Yeah.
Kids get molested. Kids get injured. Kids die in car accidents. You can't be with them 24/7.
Correct.
I understand that. Nor could my mom be with me. And when she wasn't with me was the only time that I was doing stuff I shouldn't have been doing.
So that it comes down to. So how do you get them into sports? Because I believe that is the cornerstone of every masculine adventure in the world.
Early and often.
Early and often.
As young as possible.
Your daughter does a lot of sports, right?
Yeah, she's been doing jiu-jitsu since she's 3.5. I think with a boy it's even more important.
Yeah.
That being said, I think it's got to be early and often. A lot of sports, turns out that, I played hockey 1 year. I don't love the game of hockey, but trust me, if I had a son, he would definitely play 1 year of hockey, whether he likes it or not. And halfway through the year, he would tell me that I don't start 1 minute. They don't let me play. I'd say, yeah, but you're going to finish the season. You're going to judge have something to judge on. Don't say, I don't like hockey. You played for 2 days. What are you talking about? You don't like hockey.
Correct.
You're terrible. Of course you're terrible.
So
people that don't know how to play the piano, they don't say, I don't like to play. They don't know how to play the piano.
So you think people prematurely just give up out of something that they do, right?
Everybody
and that teaches
quits.
them habits. That teaches them habits.
Everybody quits.
And this is...
That's what I love about jiu-jitsu the most. Not that you think I love rolling around with other men?
I thought you did, no?
Absolutely not.
No?
That's not my favorite part of it. My favorite part of it is that almost everybody quits.
Quits in what, like submission? Or
no,
like
they
what?
give up. They quit. They don't come back to the gym. It's got a 90, I don't know if it's a 90 or 99% quit rate, attrition rate.
Yeah.
And I will take pride in the fact that me and my daughter are not going to quit. 90% of people quit. We don't quit. That's
She's
all
like,
it is.
Daddy, I can't do this.
She hates it. What do you mean?
Oh, still.
She hates it. When she gets there, she learns to make the most of it, just like you should. Just like she has no choice. She tells me, I don't want to go today. I said, well, then I don't want to buy you breakfast tomorrow. Now what? I'm not going to work tomorrow. You don't do your part, I don't do my part. I don't go to work, you don't have any food. I don't go to work, you don't have any toys. What do you want to do? She goes and gets her gi, we go to class.
So it's nothing but tough loving then. Because the parents don't realize they're in control.
Yeah, of course.
Right?
I don't get, that's what just baffles me.
They're in control, right?
That's what just
They
baffles
control
me.
everything you do. And they still like, no.
Yeah. And I can see, like, I'm an old dad at 53, going to be 54. When she's 18, I'll be 64. And you still got to watch. Your 18-year-old daughter cannot be left to do whatever she wants.
Correct.
But I'll be a lot more tired. I'll have a lot less energy. Now, whether I have enough to do the job remains to be seen.
But she's going to know how to choke people out, no?
Yeah, she'll know how to choke people out, but something's going to make sure she needs to know that she might get choked out.
That's also true.
You know?
That's
There's got to be, in real life, there's consequences. You're going to wait till the consequence is you're a morphine addict? That's the consequence for some people. You want to wait till that's the point? You could have stopped this early. I tell Gabriella no. She says, what do you mean no? I said, yeah, actually, I have the candy here. I can give it to you. But I'm not going to give it to you. I'm telling you no because you got to get used to no because life tells you no all the time.
Yes.
If you're going to cry, go ahead, cry. Cry over the fact that I'm not giving you candy right now.
Correct.
Because life tells you no. You're gonna have boyfriends tell you no, I don't want to be your boyfriend anymore.
For sure.
Your bosses tell you, I don't want you to work here anymore.
That's exactly.
That's life.
And that's why I believe guys quit, especially I notice in the sports when guys quit because again, I don't know how you feel about it. Like they get very emotional. It was hard today.
Yeah,
it was hard, and that's it.
You feel bad. I used to work for Sammy Sosa, be his bodyguard. So Sammy Sosa was a big baseball star, Hall of Fame numbers. Played for Chicago Cubs. I worked as a bodyguard with him. I asked him, why are Dominican baseball players so successful? He said, because
why are Dominican baseball players
people from Dominican Republic,
Yes,
why are they
yes.
so successful in
Yeah.
baseball? He said, by the time you see me on TV or you see us on TV, we've already come so far from the sugarcane fields of Dominican Republic, of shining shoes like he did as a child,
Yeah.
that it doesn't matter if we strike out. It's not, there's no pressure, there's no stress for us at all. He goes, an American baseball player has got his family in the audience, their dad's got a good job, and he's trying to meet to the success of his father.
So there's
they
that
have their
social
attorney
pressure,
there.
right?
They have all this pressure. We don't feel that pressure. We strike out, we come up the next time like it never happened, no pressure, and boom.
So how do you do that if you're actually here in the United States?
Well, I think that if you, I think that you need to, as a parent, make sure your kids understand that you love them no matter what. That it doesn't matter. I'm not gonna love you more because you win a stupid trophy, or because you sign a contract. I'll love you more. I mean, what am I gonna do? You're my son. You make $10 million playing hockey. What am I gonna do? Take your I don't understand what that's gonna do. Like, you can buy me a house. All right, so I have a house. So I got my house a little bit bigger. So what?
Yeah.
It's only me and my wife anyway. You've grown up and moved out.
Correct,
So what am I
correct.
getting out of this success from? It's for you. It's not for me.
Right, right.
So, but I think your kids need to understand you love them no matter what. And I try to develop that with my fighters. I try to explain to them, you can keep coming back here to Fifth Street Gym. This will be your home, away from home. After you retire, you're not making me any money. It's not gonna matter. We're gonna still have the same relationship. I would like them to think that. Some people, only reason they're successful is because they really think they're not gonna get love unless they don't. So sometimes I almost think, do I hurt my fighters by doing that to them?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I am who I am.
Correct.
So-
So how don't you give up? Let's say this, you said, if you bring your son, daughter to jiu-jitsu, you bring him to hockey, bring him basketball, boxing, how do you make him come back? What do you do for them not to give up? What's your take?
Like I said, you take away you have to provide a roof over their head. You have to provide food, but that's it.
So
If
you
they're
kind of
not
force
gonna-
it on them a
If
little
they're
bit,
not
right?
going to give, you can't give.
If they're not gonna give, you can give.
It's super simple.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's and even that, like, why would I break my neck for us to live in a nicer house when you can't even go to hockey practice?
Yeah.
You
yeah.
can't go to hockey practice for 2 hours? You want me to stay at work extra 2 hours so you can live in a nicer house? Not happening.
Correct.
You go out there and you be the worst player. You sit on the bench, you train hard,
Yeah.
you got a good attitude. Man, I'll stay at work all day if you want me to, no problem.
Yeah, yeah.
But you give your coach an attitude, don't think that you're gonna come home and get hugs and kisses from me. That's not happening.
So this is
You-
it.
Also, don't think you're gonna get extra hugs and kisses because you scored a goal.
That's something good.
I'm gonna hug you the same way whether you win or lose. But if you don't try,
sure.
I'm not gonna try. I'm out.
So that's what I always say to these guys. What's valuable is never gonna be easy.
No, of course not. Otherwise, everyone just take it for
For
free.
sure. Exactly. Same thing goes with women.
And you can have anything you want. I really believe that. You can be an astronaut. You can be the president. You can drive a Ferrari. You can do all these things.
Yeah.
You can't have everything. You can have anything. You can't have everything. You can't have a full social life and a full athletic life. You just can't do it. You don't have time in the day.
See, this is exactly what you just said. You can't have both, because I've noticed the guys who actually became the world champions, went to the NHL, they went to the NBA, right? They all made that major sacrifice. And they made that sacrifice because, let's say this, if you start working out, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? You train, it's all fun. But sometimes I have these fathers who call me oh, you see my son, he's 12, he's amazing, he's scoring goals. He's just like a prodigy. And you know what I tell him in that moment? Call me when he sees alcohol, girls, and he smokes his fourth joint.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens then after that has been happening. Because like I said, everybody's so into that it's gonna happen, but no. In reality, it's the devil comes in those moments where you gotta sacrifice. And the guys who made it, like me personally, I was playing professional, but let's say I would only take my hat off to the guys who are up there, right? To the NHL, for instance, right? So those guys who made it, they sacrificed the fuck out of their lives because it was just this. I remember sometimes some guys would finish the nightclub at 3 a.m. and some guys running in the park at that moment. And that moment I realized like the guys who gonna do it
That's
and
it,
guys
yeah.
who don't.
That's it.
And that goes for everything in life, right?
You just can't have everything. There's only so much time in the day. So what do you want? What do you want?
Yeah,
And do you want to be happy or do you want to be successful?
correct.
Those aren't
Yes.
those aren't the same
Same thing. And same thing you want to tell the guys. You want to be comfortable, you want to be wealthy. Same thing, for sure.
So you could be uncomfortable now and super comfortable later by working hard.
Yes.
Or you could be a little bit uncomfortable now and a little bit uncomfortable the rest of your life.
Yes,
How do you?
exactly.
It's the same. It's balance. The earth, the world, the cosmos, all the whatever way you want to describe, will find balance one way or the
cosmic
other.
order, the
It's all
cosmic
gonna
justice.
it's all gonna
Correct.
balance out some way. So how do you want your balance? You want to have a mediocre life your whole life?
Yeah.
No problem.
Yeah.
If that makes you happy, go for it. Or if you want, a Ferrari and a mansion, okay, then right now you can't have anything. You have to save and suffer and sacrifice. And you do what you want.
Going back to the success and women, and I believe women's a big part that goes. I've noticed that the guys who actually become so great, they sometimes lack this aspect of communication with the femininity, right?
Sure.
And thus sometimes you see a lot of problems strive out of that.
I think that a lot of them are push themselves so hard because they're genuinely selfish.
Selfish for the success.
Just for selfish. They're just selfish. Their more first and foremost concern is always themselves.
So you think the motivation comes.
Self.
So let me ask you this. So you hear this.
Self for self.
Do you believe that they had these women that motivated them, or their selfishness of this
think-
egocentrical world?
Yeah, I think it's selfishness mostly.
What's success?
But I think that the part of this selfishness is that they want the prettiest girl.
They want the prettiest girl.
Sure.
But
I
that's
think
not
part
always
of
the
it.
case, as we see.
I don't think any of it's always the case. I don't think, but I mean, just saying that that drives some people, but once they get the prettiest girl, then they want the next prettiest girl. They want the next youngest girl. They want, just like you buy your first car, then you want a nicer car.
So let's say, for instance, again, we go with the Mike Tyson story, right? Do you believe Mike Tyson, he was already a champ before he got married, I agree, but some of these guys who become champions with a woman by his side, do you believe that it was woman that motivated him, or it was his
He was motivated
ambition?
long before that.
So it's not, you don't believe that the woman
I
was
think he
the
wanted
one
women. I think he wanted women to pay attention, be nice to him.
Yeah.
I'm sure he did.
But you don't believe that the woman is like the one who's gonna like, hey, Dino, like you gotta do this. Otherwise, you're like, okay, I gotta do this, right?
I think there are cases where there are women out there that see what the potential is in their man and motivate him, not
Yeah.
bitch at him.
But by the same standards, when something happens, process of divorce, do you believe that is in some formal way inevitable by them going with that one woman? We go back to the same thing of dating or not dating at all, or getting married or not getting married. Do you think these young guys should get married or no?
I don't think anyone should be married till they're over 35.
I
Any
agree.
man should be.
I agree.
I think a woman should be, should ideally would be younger because you would want to have a family, you want to have children.
Right.
My wife's 5 years younger than me,
Yes.
which she was still, that was 35. That's kind of old for a woman actually. But she was, I'm lucky. My wife's wonderful. She's not jealous. I'm travel all over the world. I have unlimited access to girls.
And you had your fair share experience. But let's just say.
But I'll tell
if
you, when I tell my wife I'm going to be someplace at 7 o'clock, I'm there. If she calls me up and I answer the phone, where are you? I'm at dinner, just like I said I was at dinner. Not, I'm going to go to the room early and sleep. And then I answer the phone and you hear music in the background. Because that would make her feel uncomfortable, of course.
You're one of my, I would say, I'm not shying away, calling you an idol in a way how your marriage is working. And I see that in a way because I see how you coach everybody from Adriana Lima to girls from Hollywood to OnlyFans. You train it all. But would you agree that part of that is the fact that you had experience in your life?
Of course.
But where in bouts, most of these guys who sometimes are millionaires by the time they're 18, 19, they don't have that experience. So
Or
what do you...
a normal guy that just grows in his company. He's married, he's 25 years old, he makes $40,000 a year. Now he's 35 years old, makes $400,000 a year. He wants to enjoy, he wants the attention and he wants girls to pay attention to him. He wants to go to clubs and get tables and drive a fancy car, I know.
But how do you avoid these women taking advantage of themselves because of these guys? Because we know the horror stories.
I don't know how. I don't understand even how that happens. To be honest with you, I mean,
Elaborate.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because you're just an OG telling the young kids how
I mean,
it is.
I'm not inviting a girl to dinner if
not?
I feel like she
Straight to
is if she's there because of the dinner.
So how do you know?
I mean, you get a gut instinct, you get a feeling for it.
But these guys don't know. They never had their first girlfriend. They usually get married sometimes. They don't know if she's good, bad, the intentions.
And that's where your parents come involved. They
How do you avoid
hey,
Robin Givens of the world? How do you avoid
there's so much money involved there.
Yeah.
See, like, he's got $400 million. Like, say I'm his coach, hypothetically.
Mike Tyson, right?
Say I'm Mike Tyson's coach.
For the audience, Mike Tyson made $400 million by the time he got married. He was like 22, 23.
Yeah, in his 20s, he already had $400 million.
Yeah.
I'm not a thief. I'm not a greedy person. I don't really care. I've driven nice cars. I've been in nice homes. I've been on vacations. I've done a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think that I would have a hard time not taking advantage of Mike's $400 million. I really would. I don't know if I could do it.
So I think this is just human nature.
You know,
right?
I don't think if I could say, hey, Mike, you know what? I think we need to start doing. I think I have to get this new massage therapist. He charges $500 an hour, and then grab the massage therapist and say, hey, listen, you're getting $250 an hour. I'm getting $250 an hour. I don't think I could, because I know you have $400 million. It's not gonna, $250 is not gonna kill you.
And crypto's so low now, you might get some crypto for yourself, right?
I better get a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know what I'm saying? I don't know if I could. I would like to think I could. Yeah. I'd like to be an honorable person. I'd like to be a moral person. But $400 million, you know, they say money's the root of all evil. That's a lot of roots. $400 million. So maybe if she. You know, maybe if Robin Givens, maybe if, you know, he doesn't have $400 million, she thinks straighter. I don't know.
But again, you don't have this. What I'm trying to get is, as a young man, you don't have the time to be dating. Excuse my language, fucking around, going to the clubs, dating girls. You don't have time for that. But how do you protect yourself from that? Even though you're a young kid, you got all the money in the world, right? Say you play for Chicago Blackhawks, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, let's say you make a couple $1 million a year.
But
what do you
gotta know. You gotta know that the gold digger situation exists. You gotta know it's a situation. It's a thing. I mean, for me, I would essentially, like, if I was a hockey player, I'm making $10 million a year, and I start dating a girl in my first date, I would say, oh, you know, it turned out that I got my manager.
You would do it?
First date.
Yes.
My manager took advantage of me. I know the paper said I make $10 million a year. By the time I pay taxes, blah, 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 blah. I'm in so much debt from when I was in high school and college. My mom, I had to buy my mom. I'd make up a story. She'd think I was broke by the time we were done.
And you see, this is good advice because most of these guys, right, they always say, oh, I'm worried that she's with my money, or they're always scared that she's going to take it. But if you show up to the club, iced out, chained out, here you go, baby girl, go buy something. You start off with that, and you immediately then they wonder why you attract that, right?
Of course.
So you
take a girl shopping the first day you go out with her. What does she expect?
What do you expect? You spend $50,000 on her, right?
Yeah,
what are you gonna do?
If you buy her anything in the first week, anything, you buy her a $500 purse. Now you're dating her for a year. It's her birthday. What does she expect? Not a $200 purse.
You're not gonna get that coach back anymore.
You got to go up. You don't go down.
You're right.
You know. So, or you tell her, listen, I tore my knee. I think my career's over. You see what the reaction is.
See what it is. I don't
she's
got
like,
it anymore.
hey, don't worry about it. I'll get a job. No problem. Or she says, oh no, this isn't good.
So just don't get into it, right?
Don't let him. I mean, you wouldn't listen, if you're on the ice, you wouldn't let some guy push you around.
Correct.
You fight back.
Why you let some girl push you around? Same thing in boxing.
Why you let some girl push you around? Doesn't make any sense.
For sure, because it's like dangerous to see how this happens.
But, you know, I'm lucky. I have a mom that I can go to and say, listen, can you believe this happened to me?
Your mom, I don't want to say the word bets, but has your mom always like...
She stays out of it. She doesn't she stays out of it. And she and my wife couldn't be any more polite to each other. They don't want to get me stuck in the middle. So anytime there's just the littlest thing, they go out of their way to be polite, but they're good people. Yeah. My mom's a good person, my wife's a good person, then there's no problem. If my wife was a bad person, my mom would have a problem, and then it probably wind up stepping up to the problem, because she's very confrontational. So you gotta, you have to have the right ingredients. You can't.
I agree. As a man in general, and same thing with athletes, right? What I've noticed is, let's say, some of these guys, you've been in martial arts, right? Which is an individual sport.
You got to remember though, I was a very wimpy kid.
Well, either way, you did stuff. You had to do stuff for yourself.
I was a very wimpy kid. I was an okay karate fighter. You know, I have my limitations. By no means am I saying like, you know, this is I'm the be all end all by any stretch of imagination. There's people that have 15 kids in the same mom and dad, and they raise them. They're there. You know, I have one daughter, and I'm lucky enough. I have a good job, and please don't misunderstand. I don't know the answers. I only know what I've seen. That's all. That, you know, it is what it is.
But you were a self-sufficient kid, and going back to the fact that, let's say you did martial arts. I'll give an example, right? I started playing team sports early, and since you're a kid,
I also played team sports my whole life.
Oh, for sure. But you understood how all of a sudden everything is given to you. In a way, like, I don't know, the coaching staff, like they all like, you just show up there, like your mom made you sandwiches, you go somewhere, then you go up to the higher levels, like the team prepares, they wash for you, everything about it. And so most of these guys, they lack self-sufficiency. And what I've noticed is, even though right now, I'll give an example. I was at the NHL All-Star game last year with the Florida Panthers, where your friend, general manager Billy Zito, your Shelford friend.
Yeah, he's the man.
Shout out to Billy Zito.
Big success, that guy.
Yes.
That guy works hard.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll tell you, he breaks his neck to spend time with his daughters. He's got a very busy job.
Yeah.
That requires a lot of time. I'm sure all those players got his phone number. I'm sure all those coaches got his phone number. I'm sure all the agents around the league got his phone number. This guy breaks his ass to be with his daughters.
Oh, yeah.
Alone with his daughters.
Oh, yeah.
I guess he's turned them all into fishermen because they can be alone. This way he's got to be off the phone. He's figured it out. This guy's a smart, hardworking guy that's successful for a reason.
For sure, and he's self-sufficient, made man. But going back to the fact that I was watching the game and you see all these NHL player wives. And sometimes you overhear these conversations, and I represent pro players myself. And it's these women run the show most of the time. These guys, they're like alpha males, so per se, right? They should be like this, but they're like little children.
Well, they're lazy for starters.
They're lazy, but she does everything.
Well, she's smart.
And then they wonder when they lose the half, right? And
That's all goes out the window.
Yeah, it goes out the window. But like I said, the self-sufficiency is a big key.
But I think that I think the best thing you can do for any job is to be needed, not wanted.
Correct.
So I think these women are smart. They make themselves necessary.
Correct.
In turn, but the problem is that you make yourself necessary. You're being kind of conniving by doing that.
Conniving?
It's not very genuine. If you're making yourself necessary so your husband needs you, opposed to wants you,
correct.
Then when he runs around on you, that's not very genuine either.
For sure, for sure,
so
for sure.
Who's to blame?
Exactly.
You know, if my wife makes it so she's necessary and I don't want to be around her, but she's necessary, well then when I get caught running around, don't be surprised.
Correct.
You know, you should want to be with your wife should want to be with you.
Yeah.
You know, so it becomes a different thing.
Understood. The law of attraction, or you believe in destiny?
I believe in obsession.
Obsession, elaborate.
I think that if you're always thinking about what you want, training for what you want, reading about what you want, learning about what you want, getting around people that have what you want, you will get what you want. I don't think sitting in your room, imagining the world championship belt being around your waist is enough. But when you're in your room doing nothing, you should be doing that.
So you talking about manifestation and visualization, right?
Correct. I think you should do that because you're obsessed.
How big of a factor
you want to
is
lay
that?
down. I think you want to lay down and relax.
Okay.
But you're obsessed with the belt, so you think about the belt. Not that you're saying. I don't think it's this corny thing where I'm going to go home and I'm going to really focus on this. I don't think that guy's going to get the belt. I think the guy who's going to get the belt is the guy that goes home and can't think about. He wants to think about other things, but he can't think about anything but getting the belt. So what does he do? Puts his shoes on and goes for a run. What does he do? He goes to the gym. He practices.
But you really gotta love that thing.
I don't think you have to love it. I think you got to be obsessed with whatever it is. Sugar Ray Robinson is the greatest boxer to ever live.
Tell us about Sugar Ray Robinson.
Sugar Ray Robinson has more knockouts than Floyd Mayweather has wins. Okay, he was a
fighting in the
welterweight,
50s and 60s.
40s, 50s, and 60s.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, I think he has 99 knockouts.
99 knockouts.
Yeah. He loved singing and dancing. He was a tap dancer. He loved singing and dancing. He just happened to be the greatest fighter. He didn't love, but he wanted money. He wanted to be successful. He wanted what he wanted out
So
of life.
money was his motivation,
and he
right?
went and got it. He owned city blocks in Harlem in the 40s.
So he invested that stuff back there, right?
Guys, he's obsessed. If you talk to him, you can go, oh, that guy's really smart. Very limited education. Black in the 40s and 30s.
Right.
Life's hard. Life's hard in the 30s and 40s. For black people, even harder.
Right.
This guy don't give a rat's ass. He went and took everything from life. He owned city blocks in New York City.
But he didn't love boxing.
He hated boxing. But that was the way to get there.
Do you think...
And it turned out he was just an okay tap dancer and singer. So that never really happened, even though he was so famous. I think that when they got to the championship, it wasn't what they thought it would be. That being said, I think the ones that had become champion were obsessed with being champion. Noel Gever is a Michelinian, yeah. That is the cruiserweight champion of the world. He said many times, and so did I, that we only need to worry about making you champion. We'll make money other ways. We'll find sponsorships. We'll do all this other stuff. Yeah. But the only thing that matters is being world champion. I said to him on many occasions, once you're the world champion, when you walk into a room forever, no matter what happens, no matter what shoes you're wearing, what watch you're wearing, they're still going to say, there's the world champion. Correct. So he was obsessed with it. He became the world champion. Yeah. Since then, boxing politics have messed him up, and he's made some decisions that I wouldn't agree with. Yeah. That being said, it doesn't matter. For at least one moment in time, he was the world champion.
No, for sure. Well, to me, again, this obsession, like I said, you gotta know what you're obsessed about. Because most of the time you can be like, I like this, I'm very passionate about dance and singing. I like movies, I like books, and I go to jiu-jitsu, right? I love it, I manifest it, but again, I believe you gotta know what you really want. And when you really know what you want, then this sort of manifestation is like inevitable. But then again, I think the blueprint needs to be there, like anything that starts off the bat.
Yeah, you still need to follow the proper. I mean,
like you got to know what you want. Let's say let's say if you're a young kid, you go to Madison Square Garden, and you saw again Mike putting a belt up, or you saw I don't know Ric Flair, and you're like, this is it. This is what bulls you up. So in a way, I saw that visualization that works, that you know what you want, and then what people call this trendy word manifestation is this action you always say, because you can. Daydream and mentally masturbate all day, but
you gotta do it.
Yeah,
you gotta do it every day.
For sure.
You gotta do something towards your goal every single day, constantly.
For sure.
And if you don't, you won't. It's just that simple. And that being said, talent is a real issue. I mean, you know, they say hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. Yeah. But when talent works hard, now you're in trouble.
Correct.
When LeBron James wants to work, what are you gonna do? He's 6'9", 250 pounds. What are you gonna do? Yeah. He can jump through the ceiling. When he wants to work, you're in trouble.
For sure.
And I think there's a limit to how far talent gets you. There's a limit to how far hard work gets you. Yeah. I think the combination, is what's going to take you to the next level. That being said, in my opinion, LeBron's the second best basketball player to ever live. The first one being Michael Jordan, who is the picture of obsession.
Oh, yeah. And you were Michael Jordan's bodyguard, too.
Yeah, we did. They had policemen that were the security, and then they had us as like liaisons. Added on.
But you saw live the work ethic, everything about it.
Yeah, we saw him miss a shot, a game-winning shot, and he sent the whole team home and stayed and practiced.
Still,
he was already world champion, 3-time world champion.
2 a.m. He's still doing it.
Still kept shooting. He shot 1,000. He said, "I'm not leaving until I hit 1,000 shots."
For sure. So, yes, I always say to the guys I work with, and my own philosophy in a way is, even though this obsession will not work out, this boxing, this, like you said, dancing, hockey, whatever, it's your instrument for what's gonna follow on life. Sure. Let's say, for instance...
You spend a lot more time, I mean, if you just lived at the average age of 77 years old, you spend more time after 30 than you do before 30.
Oh, for sure, because this life is, this marathon of yours, definitely. Because when you actually do something, you don't know when it's gonna buy. Like I said, you did martial arts, and it brought you everything you have. It brought you through something to discipline. And guys out there, the main thing is I tell them right now, do not get discouraged of failure, because even though there's gonna be failure, it's still gonna teach you something. And I've seen so many times these guys who, let's say, even though they don't make the big leagues, NBA, NHL, the business, this discipline that taught them so much. They can start their own business. They can still be in the game, which they know better than everybody.
Connections.
These lessons, it's just like, it's still the journey.
I agree.
And even though you get the money, it all will pay off.
And sometimes it doesn't. Not everybody's
Sometimes
successful.
it doesn't.
So
Sometimes,
what?
Exactly.
I don't even understand. Like, so what?
And what is success? Exactly. For sure.
So what?
Oh, yeah.
The world don't care, that's for sure.
Oh, nobody
If
cares.
you care so much, then get obsessed.
And that's the first thing. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
I agree.
Definitely.
But here at the gym, we try to provide an environment for you to be successful. I'm here almost all the time. I take them to the track almost all the time. Obviously, I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be in two places at the same time. Sometimes I'm with
twice a day.
Sometimes I'm with a boxer at a fight, and then I have to leave. We have other coaches here supporting. Worst case scenario, my mom's here to open the door. The gym's here. We provide an environment for you to be successful. Many times I find myself, I want you to win more than you want you to win, and that's a big problem.
Oh yeah.
Then it'd be, I'm at the track waiting for you and you're not there. Obviously, I want you to be champion more than you want to be champion. And I need to learn. I had to learn to let that go, not be so upset, take it so personally, get so frustrated. But now I let it, I gotta spend my weekend with you as a fighter in Nashville, Tennessee, and you didn't show up to practice. I'm not with my daughter this weekend.
Oh yeah.
Now it's really unacceptable. I was a lot more patient for it then. I was a lot more understanding. I was a lot more forgiving. Oh, this guy had a hard week. He lives out of town. I don't give a rat's ass. If I want it more than you, I don't want you.
And that works in every sport. And this is exactly. And nobody cares about your feelings. How you feel about it? Yeah.
It's totally irrelevant. It only matters how you perform.
Oh yeah.
And if you perform, and for that matter, you don't have to show up to track, as long as you perform.
Correct.
I'm just trying to guarantee by going to the track, you do a special workout where you run for 3 minutes. It takes about 3 minutes for an average or above average athlete to make it around the track 800 meters.
It's the hardest workout, ladies and gentlemen. It's the hardest workout you'll do.
You played professional hockey, so a high level athlete. You've done it. It's hard.
Oh,
I want you to know,
You get tested there. That's how you get tested.
Obviously, your lungs and legs work beautifully. You did 4 rounds of 800 meters at 3 minutes apiece. Your fight's 4 rounds.
And you get 1 minute rest.
Yeah, exactly.
You get 1 minute rest.
So your fight's gonna be not even this hard.
Yeah.
And that's it. If you suffer in the gym, you suffer on the track, you'll celebrate in the ring. That's how it goes.
But I've seen you had these talks where I've been part of it. Me and Dino, we work with a professional fighter named Nick Schwab, currently 12-0.
12-0.
And sometimes Nick is the epiphany of, his name's Iceman. He's not really emotional about it, but sometimes you have these talks. When you talk, it's almost like goosebumps. And you talk about this visualization. You talk about guys like, you gotta picture yourself, you gotta want it. Elaborate on that. Because you have these motivational talks sometimes.
I know that the ones that are champions, like I said, when they lay down at night, they don't see anything else but the belt, or they don't see anything else but their opponent. They're obsessed without trying to be. They're not trying to visualize. That's the first thing that pops in their head. It's like when you have a new girlfriend. You wake up in the morning, you're so excited, you can't wait to call her. No one's gonna make you call her.
Right.
But now, sometimes, if you find yourself in a long relationship, you gotta, I gotta remember to call my girlfriend.
It's not the same.
It's not the same, exactly.
The same
So you can't be like that in sports when there's people out to get you. Every day there's someone that's, where the starting forward on a team. There's a million people out there that want that job.
Correct.
So you can't go out there like, I gotta practice.
Today's gonna be a hard day, right?
You gotta go practice like you mean it.
Right.
Because somebody else wants your job. Every day someone's training to take what you got. Every day they want your house. People would walk in right now and take your house if they could.
Oh, for sure. Especially in boxing. Especially in boxing where it is. Everybody always wants to take it from you.
But there's agents out there that are right now conniving how to get the player that is almost signed to you. They've already committed to you. You just haven't had the pay. And he's trying to get him to sign you right now.
Yeah.
So you have to want to call that guy and give him the pep talk. You have to want to meet him for lunch.
Correct.
Because if you go in there like, I don't really want to be here, he's going to sign with the other guy.
Correct. So let's just say you work with fighters, but talk about more what can you do for the young athletes. Doesn't matter, athletes or not. If they come in and work with you for a week, what will change? They come into Miami, let's say they live in Indiana. What would happen if they come in? What would you do?
I'll tell you,
what's the result?
What happens a lot of times is you get 1 week here makes you feel like you're where you come from is inadequate because maybe your poor coach has to be a plumber all day long. He can't afford to have a boxing gym all day long.
Yeah.
And then he comes and he's tired.
Yeah.
He's worked his ass off, and now he's got to try to motivate you on a Wednesday at 7 o'clock at night. And instead of being home with his family, he's trying to make a few extra bucks, or this is his passion, or whatever the case may be. And that's what the case is. Then you come here, and I'm here at 7:30 in the morning. Hey, what's up, champ? How you doing? Blah, 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 blah. You come and spend the whole day with me. Then you go home, you have lunch, and I'm like, okay, I'll meet you at the track tonight. And you're like, wow, look at this guy's falling all over me. He doesn't even know me.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm falling all over you. I'm falling all over my job. This is what I do, and this is how I do it. So I think that when people come here, they find that but it's not their fault. There's been a lot of world champions that come from
Tell us
small
about
little
who
gyms.
you train. Like I said, you train anybody from supermodels to actors. You've been acting in Hollywood movies.
I've done some bad B movies before. I've done a couple commercials, and it's not my passion by any stretch of imagination. I never close my eyes and visualize me in a movie set. I just did it. It just came up and I did it, you know.
So tell us about the fighters you work with.
But you know, through the Fifth Street Gym doors since I've been here in 2010, you know, Muhammad Ali was here for the grand opening for starters. Retired, obviously, but for starters, he was here.
Let's start off, first of all, this magical place, the Fifth Street Gym. How did you end up, I would say, franchising from Mr. Ali?
Well,
and who was Muhammad Ali for the young audience?
Yeah, if you don't know, Muhammad Ali was the 1960, I think, gold medalist in the Olympics.
Rome Olympics,
correct. And then he went on to become the heavyweight champion of the world. They call him the greatest because he lost the heavyweight champion of the world, regained the heavyweight champion of the world. They took it away from him because he wouldn't go to the Vietnam War. He came back, he became the heavyweight champion. He did it 3 times. At that time, that's never been done before.
Yeah.
He was Angel Dundee's fighter. Angel Dundee was his trainer. He's made many, many, many world champions. 15 of them he started from scratch.
And he trained them here in Miami, Florida,
right? He trained them here in Miami.
On Fifth Street.
Correct, on Fifth Street. Right, with the original Fifth Street Gym, the building was dilapidated. It was unsafe. They knocked it down.
Yeah,
they put a new building there. In the lobby of that new building was pictures of Ali. Picture of Ali and the Beatles. Picture of Ali and Frank Sinatra, right?
I've seen it.
Very famous picture. So I came down here under the guise that I was going to buy another boxing gym.
Yeah.
The day before I was ready to pay the money, the guy said, I can't sell the gym to you. I owe my wife too much money in our divorce. I have to give her the gym. I went to that gym. I worked for her and came up with a price. She agreed. I couldn't get the money together like fast enough, so to speak.
Yeah.
She changed her mind from one day to the next and raised the price $50,000. I couldn't afford it. I was walking down the street. I borrowed money from family and friends.
And you visualized.
I was walking down the street and I had no job. I quit my nightclub job where I was making $10,000 a month cash, which was like $20,000 a month.
Right, correct.
15 years ago. I had nothing. I was out of luck, out of a job, out of money. I saw a sign that said for rent in the original address of the Fifth Street Gym next to the lobby where they had all these pictures. So I called them up and I said, you know, Angel Dundee, the original owner, which actually Chris Dundee was the older brother, Angel Dundee wants to put his gym back in the original address of the new building for the world famous Fifth Street Gym, where Muhammad Ali and many world champions were made. He was like, oh, wow, that's great. We have a space for rent. The famous Angel Dundee wants to come back. Yeah, great. I called up Angelo, which was not true. Angelo didn't even know this. He lived in Tampa Bay. He was retired. I called up Angelo.
We're confessing here, right?
Yeah, exactly. I called up Angelo. I've told the story many times. I called up Angelo. I said, hey, Ange, you remember me? And he said, yeah, sure. I have your number in my phone. He said, I said, do you want to, I said, the landlord wants to put your gym back in your, he's like, the landlord does? Opposed to just me.
Correct.
You know, I'm nobody at the time, you know. But in boxing, really, you know, I wasn't really where we are today. So I said, he's like, oh, great. Then I called the landlord back, I called Angelo back, I called the landlord back, and we made a deal with everybody, and we reopened the gym to 300 members of the press were in there. The fire marshal came and told us, the mayor was there. The mayor came to cut the ribbon, and they told us, you let one more person, we're shutting you down.
That's it.
With the mayor inside. They all came to see Muhammad Ali, not me, obviously. It was an unbelievable experience. He stayed there, it was in September. He stayed there in a late, hot September night and signed autographs and took pictures with people. He was very sick and very old. The Parkinson's really was bad at that point. And he stayed there all night and stayed with everybody all night.
Wow.
And then the place was a pigsty, it was a mess. All these people were there. There was movie stars in there. There was 20 world champions walked through the door that night. The mayor of the city was there. The police chief was there. The fire chief was there. You name it, they were there.
Yeah.
And I was so flattered just to be a part of it. Angelo Dundee was there. His family was there. It was great. The next day, I invited people back to help me clean the gym, and nobody came except for Lazar Stojadinovic, Anthony Christodoulou, two of my fighters, my mother, my sister, and my partner, Tom.
And they're still to this day.
Right, we're still close. Right?
Yeah.
My mother, my sister, my wife was it was one of our first like formal dates. I said, listen, I would like you to be my date for this thing. This is an important thing to me, but I can't be with you. I can't hang out with you. I just need you there for support. We went on 2 dates prior to that, and I need you there like as my girlfriend. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? Not do you want to do this? I got to look at you talk, making out with somebody else in the corner. Are you here for me? You want to be? And she said yes, and she's been by my side ever since.
Congratulations. That's how the Fifth Street Gym started.
That's how it started. It was a madhouse that night. The next day, only those 5 people came back to help me clean, and my wife. And Ali came in and sat down on that big rubber tire. We have a giant tractor tire. He sat down and he told us pictures about it. He told us stories about every one of the black and white pictures from the original gym. It was unbelievable.
Impressive.
Yeah, what a great night.
So, how many fighters you've been involved, directly, indirectly? Like I know everybody's been from Floyd Mayweather to
Yep, you name it.
Hopkins.
Yeah.
Everybody's been
I have a different relationship with everybody.
Tyson Fury walked in
Yeah,
here.
Tyson Fury came for our Christmas party. Sometimes I've been only the cut man. Sometimes I've been the strength and conditioning coach. Sometimes I've been the head coach. Sometimes I thought I was the head coach and I got fired before the big opportunity came and I was doing all the work.
Right.
I was part of the David Haye camp for a couple fights. I've been Bernard Hopkins. Bernard Hopkins was great.
Klitschko's came and trained here too.
No, the Klitschko's just came to visit, not work out.
Yeah.
Paulie
Malignaggi.
Paulie did many of his fights here, camps here.
Yeah.
Every relationship is different. With Bernard Hopkins, arguably the greatest middleweight to ever live.
Yeah.
I was holding pads for him. He's like, you got to try to hit me back. And he's like, here, why don't you put gloves on? Why don't you put a mouth guard in? I go, what am I? I'm your sparring partner. I'm not your coach anymore. So you get involved, and he's a great guy that taught me more about boxing than I taught him, to be honest with you.
And what about I've seen probably more celebrities, Hollywood people here than in Club 11.
Sure. They all come here. They all come to take pictures in the ring. They come. They flatter me by saying they came to meet me, which is just too overwhelming.
And how many years you work with Adriana Lima? 5, 6, more than that?
I think closer to 10.
10 years.
Yeah, we had a good run together. She did those Victoria's Secret fashion shows. She trained just like a fighter. She punches like a fighter. She dieted like a fighter. She ran like a fighter. She did everything but get hit in the face. And she begged me. She should have begged me, can I spar? I was like, are you crazy? That $1 million face, $1 billion face? Arguably one of the most beautiful women in the world, but disciplined, religious, obsessed. She has talent, obviously. She was born beautiful. But if she was 150, 180 pounds, no one would know how beautiful. It wouldn't even cross your mind.
Correct.
But she watched we put her on a strict diet. Perfecting athletes is who we used to develop our fighter diets and meals. And they were cooking for her. And she didn't step out of line, out of bounds. She was on point, on track, just like fight night.
So you're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You're a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. You're a celebrity coach. You train models, actors, professional fighters, amateur fighters. What's next for you? Where do you see yourself in the near future?
Yeah, I really love coming here every day. I love training people. We opened a jiu-jitsu school, so that's growing.
Yeah.
And that requires less of me as a runner, as a manager. So I think I don't know if I could hold pads and scream and yell forever. So at some point, I hope that relieves me financially.
Yeah.
I spend,
Would you like to get into more commentary, or you like to get more?
I love doing commentary, actually.
You're amazing.
I really enjoy. I would love that. I love fighting. I love watching. All the fighting sports. So anything I could do to be involved in the game, I really enjoy.
You're one of those few people you really enjoy going on the road with the fighters.
I do. I get a kick.
You really do, because the people hate that, but you, for some reason, we just went to Nashville with Nick, and you just first guy to plane. It's you.
Yeah, no problem. I enjoy it. I travel well, easy. I sleep good in my bed, and I sleep good in the hotel room, so it's no problem. But again, I'm trying to just provide an environment for the fighter to be successful. I can't throw the punches for him, but I can make a lighthearted locker room where it's not too much pressure. I can make sure that he eats the right stuff while we're sitting on the plane. I can do certain things I can do. I try to do. The rest is up to them. You can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Sure.
I can't throw the punches for you. So do the best I can.
Young Thundercats out there. What would you tell yourself?
That's an 80s reference, Thundercats.
That's 80s reference. You got it. You got it. Well, for us, it was 2000, so.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's old.
So
nevertheless,
what would you do? What would you say for the 20-year-old Dino, looking back at yourself right now and knowing that the young cats are watching this? What would you tell them? What would you tell yourself? And what's the advice that comes out of it?
I wish I would have known that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't want to work hard. I thought that because I was very limited athletically. I don't jump out the building. I don't bench press 400 pounds. I don't do anything special athletically.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that I could have outworked them, and it would have. That is a thing. As long as you have some degree of talent, you can't have zero talent versus the most talented. And I didn't realize that just by working hard, you could at least get next to. Might not be. It's like Scottie Pippen. He'll never be Michael Jordan, but his hard work and talent that he has got him to be where he's got the same 6 rings Michael does.
Correct.
Correct. So that's what I wish I would have explained to myself. I love playing baseball. I thought hitting a baseball is just a natural God-given talent. Now I realize that professional baseball players have batting cages in their backyard so they can practice constantly.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that. I thought either you had it or didn't. So I would tell my 20-year-old self that you are limited. Let's be real. You are limited on talent. But you can work hard enough to be in the upper echelon. The number one guy in the team is always going to be the hardest worker and the most talented.
Right.
Sure, but you can still be on his team.
Amen. Thank you. Dino Spencer, pleasure.
Thank you.